Hello, hello, good evening, and surprise! I did not market a live stream for today, and I really did not intend to actually have a live stream today, but I've been inspired. I have a lot of conversations with a lot of you in the community, and it just really was on my heart to have this conversation. So, guess what? We're gonna have it, okay? And it's gonna be really raw, really truthful, very telling, okay? Because there's a lot of you who may not understand how long the Mayo community has been around, how in depth the quality of the education is in here, and what a privilege like this is. We are in a day and a time that I don't think has ever existed until Mayo community popped up. I am a big proponent of value, a huge proponent of education that is of excellence. I don't do anything at bare minimum, not a thing. Okay, not one. So I am very excited that we're able to have these chats in the Mayo community. If you're not a part of the Mayo community, you just happen to find this on Facebook, then you need to pop up. Last week, I actually misquoted myself. I was incorrect. And I said that I've been doing this for about 6 months, going live every week. It actually started in November last year. So over 9 months now, we've been live every single week going over all these topics. And I really have to say, like, what's holding you back? If you've been in this group for any longer than 4 weeks, if you have been going through some of these lives, you've been going through some of these lectures, you've been getting the education, what's holding you back? Like, what exactly is stopping you from taking it to the next level where you're actually practicing myofunctional therapy? So there's going to be a lot of excuses, but I don't want any excuses, okay? Excuses are good for absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. There are a million and one reasons why I shouldn't be going live every week. There are a million and eight reasons why I really should be prioritizing my time into different and other things. I have a practice, I have 4 children, I have a husband, I have a nonprofit that I'm on the board of, I have people who are always in need of my time. I do multiple podcasts. It seems to be every single week. I have a podcast with my husband too. We're planning a retreat. I can't tell you, and I'm missing out on stuff. I didn't even mention Dental Culture Con. Like, I can't tell you the amount of things I have on my plate. I have every reason in the world not to be here, but I show up. I show up, and not only do I show up prepared. Look at that. You had a slide deck. I didn't even like anticipate being on here tonight. There's a slide deck. So there are to be no excuses tonight. This evening is all about us really deeply connecting and getting to the point where you 150% understand that this is the field for you or it's not. Okay. So this is going to be specific for registered dental hygienists. I can only speak for those in America, for the way that it works in America. If you've got grit, if you've got persistence, if you've got hustle in you, then I don't care where you're from, because you can make it happen. Okay. There are people who are globally making it happen. But let's dive in really briefly. I promise I'm not going to keep you too long because there's no need to. Let's give me a hi, a hello in the chat. Just let me know that you can hear me. Again, every single week I ask, comment, 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 like the video. If you're watching me on YouTube, make sure that you're subscribed, you're following. If you're watching on LinkedIn, let's connect. There's no reason to not do those things. It's one way you can support and continue to allow this to happen week after week after week. So let's dive into when OMT, and by OMT, I'm talking about oral myofunctional therapy, oral facial myofunctional therapy, oral facial myology, myofunctional therapy, whatever you want to call it today, because it has no standard name. And by golly, if I don't get people to stop telling me that is this some regulated, evidence-based field, because it's not. It's not. The way we do it in America, it is absolutely not. But that is not a bad thing. That only is to say that it's not regulated. It's like energy work. It's like lactation. There's one state in all of the 50 states and territories of America where lactation is regulated in a state. I will let you guys look that up. That way you got some homework to do, but that does not make it illegal to do in other places and so forth. Like, I don't want to have this conversation again and again and again, but it seems like it keeps coming up with foolishness being posted online. So let's dive in to hygienists specifically, because I am a registered dental hygienist. I do not practice clinically anymore. I have no desire to practice clinically. I really just don't even know what I would do if I had to practice clinically. It just seems so like, oh, I can't get to people in the same way. I cannot access all of my mind in the same way that I have to when I'm doing myofunctional therapy. And so I can speak to that mindset. I've done myofunctional therapy all kinds of ways. I've done it in office, I've done it as an employee, I've done it as an independent contractor. I have lectured all over. I've lectured international. The fact that I do myofunctional therapy, not only one, supports my family. I have 4 children and a husband. He works with me in the myo spot, but outside of that, I am the sole income provider. Myofunctional therapy can be a very profitable career. It has taken me international. It's taken me to Kenya to be able to speak. It's allowed me to be written in publications. I should have had the Do magazine out now, because I am in the Do magazine 2024 summer edition. So please look for that article. It is available for free online. DEW.life, do.life. That's a great magazine. It's a great organization. Dental entrepreneur women, anybody can join, even if you don't have a business. If you're in around or about dentistry, Do is for you. But that's not why we're here tonight. Okay, OMT. When is it good for hygienists? So OMT can be absolutely phenomenal for hygienists, but it's not for all hygienists. It is in no way, shape, or form something that should be just universally just kind of distributed. I can't stand to see it online where people are just randomly giving out information. I took this course, like you should take this course. You have no idea what's best for other people. Like, they may have other goals. Myofunctional therapy is not one set thing. It's not standardized. Taking one course is not like taking any other course. All the courses are very, very different. I like it when people, one, are taking initiative and they are researching and seeing what's out there, but then 2, being able to be proactive and jump in, because we can't have any excuses. Myofunctional therapy is not for those who are going to curate excuses for why they are not where they want to be. Okay. OMT is great for you if it is about that time and you're looking to transition. You're like, I don't know how much longer I can do this. I am facing burnout. I need to transition. Myofunctional therapy is the most lateral career move, because you're still going to use so much of that knowledge. You're still going to be able to have some tactile perception of what's going on with these muscles in the orofacial region. And nobody does myofunctional therapy better than a registered dental hygienist. We understand the nuances of oral function and how oral dysfunction can impact the oral cavity, whether it be in craniofacial growth and development, orthodontic treatment outcomes, oral habits, periodontal disease. We understand those wonderful nuances better than any other professional. And let's be clear, anybody can practice myofunctional therapy. Registered dental hygienists just do it better. But if it's time for you to make that transition, I personally don't think there's anything that is better than doing myofunctional therapy for a lateral career move. There's a lot of different things that you can get into. You can get into sales, you can get into teaching, you can get into a lot of different things that are going to take your clinical skills kind of away from you, if that's what you want. And it won't allow you to use like your brain in the same way, seeing patients and seeing clients. Will you be over a student if you're teaching? Will you be over a student and still kind of in a clinic, and maybe you'll get your hands in there and you'll use an explorer and you'll go look for stuff? Sure. But it's really not the same in any capacity. For some people, that is more fulfilling, and absolutely, like, follow your dreams. But if you're kind of in the middle and you're like, I don't know what I want to do, but I know that this brain still has so much more in it. I have so much more potential, and I want to transition. I'm looking now for what are my other options. Myofunctional therapy is a fantastic option for you. But let's not stop there. It's if you want to make a bigger impact, if you want to do just a little more. So yes, I mentioned orthodontics, I mentioned oral habits, I mentioned periodontal disease and craniofacial growth. I mentioned all of those, but have you ever wanted to impact someone's vagal tone? Have you ever wanted to impact someone's posture? Have you ever wanted to impact someone's sleep? Have you wanted to impact their digestion? Have you ever wanted to impact their respiratory system? Have you ever wanted to impact their memory? Have you ever wanted to help them get off of certain things? So myofunctional therapy is only for proper oral resting posture. That is it. There are wonderful happy accidents that happen as a result of doing myofunctional therapy and being a therapist. When you are looking at that greater scope of like those happy accidents, there are people who come off of their CPAP from doing myofunctional therapy. There are people who come off of certain medications. There are people who are able to function better, who are able to now be more productive citizens, who have lower blood pressure. Like we have a wonderful myriad of things that you can make a bigger impact on someone's greater overall life. Anytime I talk about sales and selling myo, because you always have to sell myo, you go talk to somebody about myofunctional therapy and nobody has a clue what it is. Like you can go ask 50 dentists, and I guarantee you not one of them give you an accurate description of what myofunctional therapy is, okay? So you're always having to sell it, but in your selling it, you're always going to be talking about the larger, deeper goals that they have instead of talking about that superficial stuff. Like nobody's paying you thousands of dollars to help them with a tongue thrust. Their tongue thrust is not so impactful that it's like, that's what I'm doing it for. You got to go layers deep, right? So what are you really impacting? Well, if it's the tongue thrust, then what's the tongue thrust doing? The tongue thrust is really preventing the open bite from closing. I have this open bite. I've done braces multiple times. I've spent so much money and I hate smiling. I can't do it. Okay, great. But why do you hate smiling? And what does it matter to you if you are able to smile? Now, I'm not having this conversation as blasé as I'm doing it right now, but if you're just diving deeper with me, right? If you're unable to smile, well, I haven't had a great portrait with my boyfriend in 8 years, and I've been unable to like really socialize. And anytime I'm with my friends, I have to make like this weird smile where like I don't show any teeth, and I can't stand that. And so I really would like to be able to be out there more. Okay, so what happens if you're out there more? Like what are you gonna do? Well, right now I'm like a homebody, but I don't know that that's really what I want to be. I want to get out more and do more things and try new things, and maybe I can finally take a trip. Maybe I feel confident enough that if he was to propose, we could get married. Hold up, marriage? So your myofunctional therapy, if I can get you to stop that tongue thrust, this might lead you to marriage. Yeah, I guess so, in like a roundabout way. Absolutely. Awesome. Now I'm speaking to something bigger, a greater impact. I'm not talking to you about tongue thrust. You don't give a crap about tongue thrust. Nobody cares about tongue thrust. You care about what your life is going to look like at the end result. So we're always going for what they want, what their desires are, but they're deep-seated desires that they don't even know about. So I always say dig at least 3 layers deep. You could probably go more, but dig at least 3 layers deep, and you're going to find how you can make a bigger impact. So that's something that can really like be 100% owned by you as a hygienist. And I did hygiene for a while as a hygienist. Yes, you can make a large impact. You can make the biggest of impacts on people and their lives by helping to change their smiles through what you're doing, through who you're referring to, and so forth. Through just doing periodontal treatment, doing oral hygiene instructions, you can change people's lives. Absolutely. I've changed people's lives from my clinical experience, but I make a much larger impact on their overall life, on the quality that ripples out between their friends and family, because as they start telling other people about it, now people are intervening earlier in their children and so forth. Like it's making just such a bigger impact. It is so good for your soul, if that's what you're about, making a bigger impact and a bigger paycheck, then myofunctional therapy is absolutely good for you. But you have to be self-motivated, okay? This is not something that is going to fall in your lap. This is not something that's like, oh, okay, I'm going to take the course. And then after I take the course, I'm going to now just find a job as a myofunctional therapist. Mm-mm. You can look on Indeed, you can look on ZipRecruiter, you can look on LinkedIn, but like nobody's looking for a myofunctional therapist. And if they are, probably they're looking for an SLP. You might find an RDH in your area who is successful enough that maybe they're hiring, but you're not going to make what you think you're going to make. Because guess what, boo boo? Some of those people aren't even making what they think they're going to make. Like, it's not what you think it is. So you have to be self motivated. You have to be willing to get yourself out there and put yourself out there in a big way. If you're going to have some sort of excuses as to why you cannot do this, it's always going to hinder you, right? So I'll tell you, and I think when I told my story a couple of weeks ago, I was supposed to dive in a little bit deeper into this, but I think that one of the biggest barriers and one of the biggest excuses that people closest to me knew that I had was the amount of melanin in my skin. There's nobody in this field really with my complexion that is doing things on the level that I'm doing them. And then there's not really anybody who's doing it like I'm doing it that's not even of my complexion. But yet there's always this like diminishing value, I feel like, to the things that I do. But that's an excuse. That would only stop me from doing things that I want to do if I just sit and marinate on that, right? So what I do is I keep excelling. I keep practicing in excellence. I keep moving so that I can do more than what is already out there and available. You can't have excuses. Like, what is your excuse? If you've been on these lives and you're here with me every week and you have not taken a course or you have not scheduled a call with me, well, that's a problem. That is a big problem. So when you haven't done that, that's you just making an excuse. So is your excuse, oh, I don't have time for it now? Like, what better time is there to get into myofunctional therapy if you're busy? Because now you're going to get a lot of support. You're going to be able to manage it while you're busy. That way, when you come out of this and you're no longer busy, you're able to continue to manage at that same high level. Take, for example, when I decided to do my introductory course, I was also on the ballot as a candidate running for lieutenant governor. I had to leave one of the days early of my 4-day weekend, like crash course of myofunctional therapy. I had to leave one day early so that I can go attend a debate. And if I didn't attend that debate, it would have been all sorts of chaos. But yeah, it was a super important time for me to be in that course too, because there was so much I needed to learn in that 28-hour crash course. Look, I had things to do, okay? I still had 4 kids at that time. I still had a husband at that time. I was still working full time as a hygienist in a pediatric office. So I was working, all the time, stressed out. I love working pedo though, but it's a lot. But I love working pedo. And I was running for lieutenant governor. Prior to that, I was running for governor. But it was a lot of like going back and forth online with people, like Soledad O'Brien and like John McAfee. And there was like a whole lot of wonderful, good memories in that time, especially with the news and the press and being able to like influence things by being in that sort of spectacle. But that's when I was taking a myo course. And then I was expected to come back into the office and be ready to implement based on what data where. Like, who was looking at that and saying, yes, it looks like she has a lot of time and she should be able to absolutely do this. So with that being said, it was something that wound up to just be a lighter point of view, that at that moment I maybe didn't have all the time I could dedicate to this. The weekend after, I was taking Lois Laney's restorative breathing program, levels 1 and 2. The weekend after that, I was doing the voice gym program. Like, we were stacked on with stuff. And if I didn't know how to fit OMT into my life when I was busy then, you think I'd be functioning now? No, it's an excuse. You make time for the things that you want, right? And there's no better time than the present. There's absolutely no better time than the present. If the issue is cost, I'll tell you that for me, I took out a loan for my course. I 100% expected to be able to make the money back. But at this moment in time, there are so many courses that will allow you admission on a payment plan. So what are you waiting for? You're waiting for them to have like another course, another open enrollment. Well, why aren't you signing up for something that has immediate self study access? That way, you don't have to wait for somebody else's schedule because you're so busy anyway that you don't have to wait for anybody's schedule. You can do your courses and do your work at your time, at your pace. There is no excuses. There can't be any excuses. If you have excuses and you're not self motivated, you're never going to do it, and you're practically not going to thrive in it. Okay, you're going to wind up being one of those people that kind of struggle through it. And so OMT is great for you if you are self motivated, if you lack those excuses, if you are going to be a person who is going to operate in excellence and maybe work towards doing things in a better way. OMT is terrible for you if you're a hygienist and you're like, I don't have any time to do this. And we just kind of went through that because, girl, guy, you got time. You have time. You just don't want to do it. And if you're already fighting excuses in your heads about it, then that's the problem. You have to have creativity. Along with that self motivation comes creativity. How are you going to break through the noise? How are you going to stand out? Here's a big thing. So last year, I wound up somehow in the TikTok Black Business Creators group, right? So they have this wonderful group where you're able to join for free. They send you TikTok merch. So if you ever see me with like my random TikTok merch that I have around my house or in the background, sometimes you'll know where that came from. So TikTok had this wonderful program. And why did that program come about? Because of the natural biases in the algorithms, right? So nobody seems to realize or understand that there are biases in algorithms, there are biases in AI, there are biases all throughout. Anything that has to be programmed by a human, it winds up embedding itself, that person's biases, it winds up embedding itself into whatever is trying to spit something back out. So the visibility for Black creators is just not there. The visibility for creators of color is just not there. So what happens is that we got like an inside view. Here's what you have to do to stand out. Here's how you can beat the algorithm. Here's how you can be more creative. Here's how you can enhance. And I didn't just take that and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to do anything else. I went above and beyond. So now I'm going to get another course and I'm going to figure it out. Or I'm going to spend my time, if I'm scrolling, taking notes. What is it that is stopping me from watching this video? What is it that I can do to leverage that same type of attention? I went viral earlier this year for one of my videos, and I just kind of repeated that concept. And then suddenly there was an extra like 15 to 18,000 people following me. Where did that come from? Where's all that energy from? I had no idea like how I was supposed to manage it. And I'm terrible at social media. So as soon as it started happening, I'm like, I need to get off of social media now because this is too much. The pressure is too much. I don't like it. I don't want to be an influencer, but you have to be creative. So whatever those excuses might be, you have to understand how you're going to get around them. Okay, how you're going to be able to thrive against adversity. How are you going to break through the noise? One of my big things that I always talk about is the power of Pinterest. If you're not a writer, and if you are a writer and you don't know how to use Pinterest, you're not going to be as successful. I can't tell you the last time I wrote a blog, but yet I have 2,000 people every single day that wind up, not day, every single that wind up going through my stuff. Like it's just how that works. So it's incredibly important that you understand creativity and how you're going to be able to break through the noise, to stand out and to be better. If you don't have creativity, it is not for you. Functional therapy is not for you. You're going to struggle a little bit, okay? And you have to also be creative when you're trying to network. That's really important. The hustle, that is the big thing. So hustling and being willing to hustle. And a lot of people don't understand what I mean when I say hustle. If you're hustling, your hustle has to be hard. You have to understand where you're going and why you're going there. Okay. So you are hustling like every day matters. Every dollar matters. Every new appointment matters. Every new contact for you to get as your referral provider matters. You have to be willing to get out there to do what it takes to make sure that you are counting for every single dollar every single day. I do a lot of podcasts, I do a lot of books, I do a lot of reading and listening and writing and understanding and reviewing some of the contents and concepts that I know from before. That way I can really enhance my hustle because I'm trying to collapse time. And collapse time is a big business concept, right? So if you're trying to get into oral myofunctional therapy, the best way to get there is by taking a course from someone who's where you want to be, because they're going to allow you to collapse time. How do I get to you? I want to be a speaker. I want to, be able to lecture about myofunctional therapy. Well, why would I take a course by somebody who's not speaking, somebody who's not lecturing, somebody who I don't see out there? Why would I take a course by somebody who I don't see growing and speaking, who's speaking for the same places, who's doing the same things, who I'm not really seeing them prominently? I wouldn't want that, right? Like, I want to be following the lead of somebody who is on top. And so hustle, get there, collapse that time by being around that person, buying your presence into theirs. And it's an incredibly great way to really leverage yourself. And you got to have grit, you got to be gritty, you got to be willing to get in there, get your hands dirty, and really do what it takes. And if you don't have that grit, if you just have excuses and you're not self motivated and you don't really want this, then hang out in the Myo community for as long as you want. Nobody will ever kick you out of there. I will still show up for you. But you're probably going to be wasting your time if you're not leveraging this against some education in myofunctional therapy. You're definitely leveraging it in the wrong way. You're just utilizing this information to just kind of fill up your brain, and then maybe someday, hopefully, instead of collapsing the time and the distance between who you want to be, which is probably a myofunctional therapist and a successful, thriving one at that, and where you are right now. I don't have just one course. I don't have just one thing. I don't even have just one focus, as we've started this whole lecture thing out with. I am divided in all of my stuff. So if you are an active therapist and you're like, I don't know how to be more impactful, well, you need myomodalities. Like, you should have booked a call with me a while ago to figure out myomodalities and how it can make it work for you. You should have been on a call if you're struggling with kids and you're like, I don't know what to do with these kids and I don't know what kind of games and things to play with them. You should have been on a call a long time ago trying to figure out what it is that you could do. If you are like, I'm new and I don't know what course to take or what's best for me, you should have absolutely been on a call a long time ago, because what are you doing? Who else is offering you free time? It's really just me. I'm always here every single week saying, let's chat. If you want to chat, I got a link. You can hit up my schedule ASAP. If there's not a day and time that is available that you would like, well, then hit me up in my DMs. Like, send me a message, send me a direct message, say, hey, I can't find a time that works for me. Can I meet with you this week? Can I meet with you tomorrow? You best believe I'm going to make time for you, because I have so much appreciation for those who do put in the work to make sure that they get my attention. I'm going to give you that same energy back. So there's a lot of people who message me about a lot of different things, whether it's the IAH or Dental Culture Con or just general dentistry or whatever. People are always trying to figure out how they can get just a little piece of my time. And so here's where I'm offering you. Let's chat. Let's figure out how you can up level, how you can eliminate the excuses. If it's a money thing, it doesn't have to be. If it is a time thing, it's certainly not that. If it's a motivation thing, you probably shouldn't be on the call. But I would be happy to still talk to you anyway. It's incredibly important that you understand where you want to be, where you want to take this, how you want to grow. And if you don't know, there's no better time like the present. So use this link, schedule a chat. Let's get it going. I am looking forward to seeing you next week. I promise something will be planned next week. This just happened to be fully inspired by the fact that I think that we have so many people with so much potential. And you know what? I'm going to back that up with an offer. So the first 10 people who contact me, I will give big discounts, big discounts to whatever it is you are looking to access, to know, or whatever is going to help you get to the next level. So as long as you're willing to let go of the excuses, I'm willing to let go of some of your barriers that are going to stop you from succeeding and from showing up. See you on a chat.